Hey guys, welcome back to part number 3 of my Tamiya F-14A build. So this week we're going to work on more assembly of the fuselage, the rear side of the fuselage, also the intakes, and we're also going to look at the second part of our aftermarket, the Phase Hangar beaver tail, which the resin part we're going to put in the back. So a little bit of surgery required. We're going to cut the old tail out of the fuselage and install a new one. So we'll talk about that too, but let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back. So part number 3, I guess, and we'll carry on with the fuselage of the F-14 Tomcat we're working on. So last week we put the cockpit tub and the front end together and built the wing sweep mechanism. This time we can go ahead and carry on with the fuselage and intakes and pretty much take us through up to the exhaust on section 19. So first thing we're going to do, well, I've done it already. I cut this part off. And you see there's tons and tons of attachments. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus there's probably like 20 different like sprue attachments on this. So I've cut them all off. I sanded it all down. Got rid of all the marks and stuff. Also I've cut the back off here, which we'll talk about in a minute. Because that's the first thing we're going to do actually. Because if you remember from previous episodes, I'm not going out of the box. I got some aftermarket. So this is going to be an early F-14A. Sorry. So it's a few little changes. So the gun vent's different. I got 7 vents in my gun vent panel, which we put on this guy. Remember, we didn't use this is a resin part. And the tail at the back, they call beaver tail. So I guess it looks like kind of like a beaver. So we're using the again the phase hanger set here, a couple of resin parts, and there is some surgery required on this one. Not major surgery, but nevertheless, as you can see in the instructions, you've got to cut out the back end. And replace it with this resin part. So I've actually done it on this side already. So it says go back 12 millimeters, but basically it's level with there's a panel line going down here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but basically level that panel line. So I've cut it out with a knife, sanded it, and on this side at least it seems to fit pretty good. So how this kind of works is on the upper part. So let me just kind of show you what I did actually. Where we're at. There it is. You can kind of see the part I cut off, which was that bit basically. So with a very sharp knife and new blade, I just scored down the sides and across with using a knife, a ruler at the back, and then just sanded it. So this part came off. This bit sits on like that on the back. So I got to get rid of this part. And then once these guys go glued together, this will just slot in. So you can kind of see the differences. See how it's different. So what I'm going to do, so I did this part already, it looks good. It's always nervous cutting parts, especially on an expensive kit like this. So I'm up with a Sharpie here to points, but basically the same with this, the panel line runs down. So you've got to go across. So I'm going to score down with a knife. So I break like 3 or 4 times with a very sharp knife, which I have mine right here with the brand new X-Acto blades. And it so happens that the gap in between is actually the same width as my X-Acto blade. Well, these actually Olaf. Is it Olaf? Olfa blades. Yeah, Olaf is Disney Frozen, right? So it actually fits perfectly in between for a ruler. So if I just line up there like that, I can just score my knife across and cut that bit out as well. So I want to do this off camera because rather than me kind of reaching around a tripod and all that kind of stuff, I want to be comfortable when I do this, because obviously if I screw this up I can't go back. So I'm going to cut this part out here, and then we'll come back and we'll see how the fit is, and hopefully this fits in nicely into that gap, and then that places the tail. And that's kind of all the major surgery we're doing on this kit really. So okay, so let me move the camera out of the way, get this cut out, and we'll come back. Okay, so I scored it. So with this knife blade, the sharpness, it basically took 7 to 8 scores, and then it just came apart. So it's bent, and you can see how it's broken now. One more and it'll do it. There you go. That's it. So I'm just going to quickly give it a quick sand. If I kind of just loosely place it to the other part, which I put somewhere, where is it? it is. Okay, so it sits like that. Then I forgot which way it goes. I think it's that way. So that basically fits in like that. And it might be a little filling needed around the edges here and there, but that is basically it. So I think it got away without damaging the part too much. It seems like a pretty good fit where I cut it. But again, we'll get these glued together, and we might need a little bit of filling here and there, or some more plastic card, but overall I think it's going to work out pretty good. So that's that part done. I did this first because now we're going to mess around with doing stuff on the inside of these and what have you, and I just wanted to kind of get that surgery done before I actually kind of place the model in there. So let me kind of clear this away, and then we'll start looking at some of the other parts. So next up, we're going to now start working through the intakes, so 11 and 12. So we cut out already, so we'll work on these intakes. Let me get the parts cut off, all cleaned up and stuff, and we'll come back and we'll start assembling all this stuff. Right, so a couple of things. So firstly, I drilled all these holes in the bottom here. There's tons, 6, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 holes. So drill those holes in first before I forget. It's all marked on here, but it's something, just always forget those things anyway. So make sure you drill the holes. Again, 6 holes in the bottom. Drilled those. I went ahead and did add the beaver tail to the back, so super glued it in. So on the bottom it's actually a really good fit. The top there's a little bit of a gap which we'll take care of later. And so now we're on to like part 11, the intake ramps. So I did one side already, did this side, just to make sure it fit and also so I didn't get the bits all confused. So we had go ahead and do the other side right now. So first thing is, just going to flip this guy over. There's a little part that goes in right here. So I'm just going to glue that in before I forget, because it's tiny, I don't want to lose it. Alright, so it just fits in like that. And we're just going to assemble. I've already cleaned these up. Again, being Tamiya, there's no real cleanup. There's ejection pin marks, but you're not going to see them on the back, the underside. So we're doing the right side, so it's this way around, and this just glues on the should just glue in the bottom like that, I guess. Let me just check. I'll get it the wrong way around, my bad. So it glues on like that. So let's get some glue. So that part, then we're just going to add, this guy goes on the other side. There's a gap right there, so that's that. And then it just fits easily, just fits onto the bottom here. There's plenty of attachment places, so I'm going to switch to the white glue. You see I'm switching between the white glue and the normal extra thin. The white glue for kind of bigger parts, and the extra thin just kind of welding seams and stuff. It's kind of how I basically do it. So, and that just goes in like that, and easy as that. So that one's done. Now on top, so you flip it over to the other side, then you've got to add the I'm trying to think which way it goes. This way around, you've got to add the wheel well. So now we're kind of flipping onto the next side, this page right here, part 13, the main landing gear bays. So I'm just going to add some glue. It kind of sits on top of what you just for the rounds we just did. A little tricky. Get back in. There we go. Just go around the edges, just some extra thin, just to kind of make sure it glues in real good. And that's it. So they're on. So we've done this part. The B19 on the back, I did that. That's on the sorry, on the upper part. We'll get to that in a minute. So the only other thing is on these guys, A5 and 6. Sorry, pardon this. These guys right here. These have really nice fit. They just fit them really well. So there's no seams or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint and weather these separately. And there's quite big decals that go on these. So I'm going to do these separately and then add them on at the very end. Because again, it just you don't even need any glue. It just slots right in. Really good fit. And there'll be no seams. It's going to be easy a little bit to paint these separately, I think, and decal them. So these will be done offline. So I just did one just to make sure they fit okay. And they do fit perfectly, obviously. So that bit's done. So we've gone through intake ramps, low fuselage. This will be painted white before we add the intakes. We'll do that a little bit later. Once we've got the gun, painting the gun for the intakes, we'll paint these at the same time before we put it all together. So next up, we've just got to add the back section to the front section, which I'll just reach over and get that part. So it's basically adding these. Now the first time I went around, I had all kinds of issues trying to get through a seam line, so I realized actually there's a seam. In real life there is a seam line, so this isn't a seamless fit in real life. So these two just need a kind of clip in. Like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue it from the underside. I'm going to let this kind of sink into the gaps. Okay, with my fingers I'm just kind of moving it, manipulating it so I get the kind of good fit. Again, just use my fingers to press kind of where I want it to kind of go. I think that's good. Again, there is that V on there in real life, so just trying to get that seam where I want it. So that looks pretty good, so I'm going to let that dry. What we're going to do is let this dry, and then once this is fully dried, we'll go ahead and mate it up with the underside, and then from there on we'll work on the intakes. Okay, as you can see, we got this two halves together, no problem at all. Just a little bit of glue at the front, and on each side in the back here, where it attaches, and you see the very nice sliding wing sweep mechanism. See a little bit of a gap. I cut with a little overzealous on the sides here. Fill over the back, no problem. I might need some little plastic art, but I'll fix that. That's not a big deal at all. Underneath, perfect. Which ideally you want the top to be perfect, and the bottom you can work on, but this is the way it is. So yeah, a little bit too much I took off on sides and stuff, but not a problem. That's just, you know, what, a couple of mils, we can fix that, no problem, not worried about that. Do have the seam lines there, but that is how it should be. It should be slightly raised there in real life. So yeah, this big piece of plastic is looking really good. So put it aside, look here in instructions. I already went ahead and added, built the intake ducts and added them to the actual air intakes. It's all going to be sprayed white, so I just glued them in already. Really nice fit, as you expect. Went ahead and put like left and right on each so I could identify them, but of course it's Tamiya, so they already have that written on the parts. You can see molded in here, has a part number. You guys can see that. There you go, on the light. So that's already molded in. I did cut these little guys off, D15 and 14, but they're actually going to be painted, what was it, X11, which is like a chromey silver color. So metallic silver. I'll do these at the very end, add these at the very end of the build. So that's be easy to paint all the aircraft, get it done, and at the end add these. So I need to put them somewhere safe so I don't lose them. So these get painted and glued, I say glued on very, once all the weathering's done, and painting and everything. Well, actually probably painting and that kind of stage. Right, so what I'm left with now is, these two are just the panels that go on behind. I've test fitted it, it fits perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I need to spray the inside of these intakes white. So those two, I'm going to spray the actual, this guy, I'm going to spray back here, these areas white too. Now this scheme is going to be like, what was it, insignia white underneath anyway, so I'm going to spray it white. I might as well hit, if I've got some left, I might as well hit the wheel wells too. But anyway, so I'll spray the intakes white, and this part, so it all fits together, so that goes white, and white got the gun. I'll hit the center of the blades here, the turbine blades. That's white, and then these are me paint that first, and I'll mask it off, and then I'll paint the outside with the, well, it says X56, which is metallic grey, but I'll use some kind of gunmetal. I'll let you guys know once I get to that stage. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray booth, get the white painted on what these parts I mentioned. We'll come back, and we're looking in really good shape. Making great progress with this. So 2 minutes, and we'll come right back. Okay, so we painted everything up. We did the white on the inside here, inside of the intakes, and I painted these guys white first. I taped up, and I came back in with the what did I use? I used light gunmetal LP 20, which is kind of weird. My first LP paint was a little bit strange. There's a lot of fleck in this, metallic fleck. It looked a bit strange, so while I was spraying something else, silver, LP11, I had a little bit left, so I sprayed it over the top with silver to get like a little two-tone effect, which I actually kind of like now. So that's that. The white I used, in the end I used Mr. Surfacer white, 1500 white, which goes down beautifully. So it gives it a kind of nice, kind of, again, like the black, it gives you a nice kind of sheen to it. Didn't hose it on, so you can see, you know, the way I sprayed it lightly. It gives it, you know, a little grimy and dirty kind of effect somewhat. So that's painted up. So what we can do is we can add these guys to the back of the intakes. So I'm just going to use white top glue, just because it's not going to affect the paintwork. Guys on. Pull this blue tack stuck to it. I just use these old bottle caps to my spray things with a bit of blue tack. It makes it easy to hold. So put on this guy too. And a little bit of my hands to wipe off. But we can go ahead and add the intakes now to the main body of the fuselage. So I've done building this kit before. You actually don't need any glue with this. It just clicks into place. It's amazing how good the fit is. Now I probably jinxed it, but just go in, add this on. Like there. And look, I'm not even holding it on, it stays in place. So I'm just going to use a bit of the extra thin glue around the edges just to seal it all in. And this side. Oh, again, just clips right in. Perfect fit. Not any gaps or nothing. So. And that is really, really perfect fit. I mean, you can't, the model kit, you can't get any better than that. There's not any gaps or nothing there. It's just perfect. So what we do now, add these in. K15, nice. Again, it has the on the back, it has a part number. So 15 goes on this side. Goes like that. So I'm just going to switch to the white top glue. Then extra thin, just dab it into the gaps, just to let it flow. And there you go, that's that bit done. I put these side bits on already earlier, I can't remember if I mentioned it already. Just tiny bits like to glue on immediately so I don't kind of lose them. The D14 and 15 here, we'll add on the very end as I mentioned, they're the metallic parts. Now, going back to this, it looks like now we actually add the front fuselage to the main body. So again, spoiler alert, it's an amazing fit. I'll just kind of show it there. Look at that, perfect fit. So we can go ahead and add that right now. So I'm going to use the white top glue because it's a larger area we're gluing. Pretty generous. I'm just going to slide this in place. Just going to hold it. And then extra thin down the seam line again. Kind of gripping it with my hand. Just kind of pushing it up and in towards that line to get that seam line out of the way. But it's going to look really good. I mean, this is one of the best engineered model kits you can get. So while that's just sitting to the side, we've just got a few little holes to drill in here too, I think. We've got 4 holes to drill. So I'm just going to get my drawer here, my little drill bits. Then these 2 holes, so I'm just going to makes short work of these plastic parts, these little PCB. These are PCB drill bits. As long as you're going straight, you're fine. If you do any kind of flex in it, they just snap immediately. But you can buy packs on like AliExpress or eBay for about, I think, like $1.50, $2 for a whole set from like these are what? These are 0.3 to 1.2 mil Union tool. Go here. The last one, I'm just going for it the other side, just get rid of all the, clean the hole out. Cool. A little bit more on this one. Cool. So then this just goes to the bottom. Or like, there's actually a bit of a gap there. There we go. Like that. So I'm just going to again put my little white top glue down the edges. And if you want, if you show nose weight, this is a perfect spot to put some more nose weight if you forget earlier on in the nose. But this is another good spot. I'm just going to drop this panel in. And extra thin. just kind of holding it in place until it bites. There's a little bit of a gap around this panel actually. Got rid of that seam line at the back. Just kind of straighten it up a little bit. So that is looking good. So there we go. I mean, looking fantastic. It's really coming together now. We've got a few things to do. We've got to fix the gap around the back here. I got rid of that gap by pushing this in just a little bit. The front here, just a tiny little gap to fill. No problems at all. Got the intakes all painted and ready to go. The wheel wells will take care of another stage. So yeah, we're looking really good. So I'm going to let this dry. Did a lot of glue, a lot of assembly here, main assembly, so I'm really going to let this dry overnight, and we'll come back and next week we'll carry on. So we've got part 18, following this in orders thus far. So next week 19 we start the exhaust nozzles, so there'll be a lot of different painting metallics or whatever. And just pushed it back a little bit, and got wings and like the gear and all the smaller parts. So we still got to paint the shrouds and the front of the cockpit too. But yeah, still a lot to do, but we're really making great progress in the main bulk of this. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up now. I think I've done enough talking. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if so, please consider subscribing, liking, all that kind of stuff. Any questions, please put a comment below and I'll answer all questions. Until next time, have a great one. So this is Richie from RW Hobbies. See you next Friday. Thanks and goodbye.